interpretación, yo voy a estar proveyendo interpretación del inglés al español. Y también voy a, no estoy sola, mi nombre es Mariola. Por favor, si necesitan, déjame saber. Una compañera mía viene en camino y también me va a estar ayudando. Hi everyone, my name is Mariola. I will be providing interpretation today from Spanish to English or Urdu. Please let me know, come to see me if you need the device. Thank you. Just one quick announcement. When you are speaking, please have your normal pace. And if you're going too fast, I will do this to slow. And speak clearly, please, and loud so I can hear you. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. I'm Bonnie Bain, Executive Director of SAFE, Salem Alliance for the Environment. I'm glad to be here with my co-organizer for this program, Jordan Rogers, and the North Shore Labor Council tonight. 25 years ago, Salem organized to shut down the dirtiest coal plant in New England, or one of the dirtiest. The bad news is that Salem did pay for that plant with early deaths and asthma rates, and so did this whole region. The coal itself came from mines in Colombia, tied to severe human rights violations, paramilitary killings, people forced off their own land, and that plant got replaced with a gas plant that isn't slated to close until 2050. And soon that same site is going to be home to a wind marshalling facility, if all goes well, and that will shape energy and jobs across the whole region, Lynn included. This was never just a Salem fight. It isn't just about Salem, and we need everyone if we want to build a more resilient and sustainable region. So that's why there's dinner, interpretation, coloring pages for kids. I don't have your kids here, but we have that if you need it. Adults can color too. And speakers who are here for a conversation, not a lecture. It's why we're standing with labor, because good union jobs and a livable planet have to be the same fight. It's why we're standing with groups like Latino Support Network, who serve so many Spanish-speaking immigrant families here in Lynn and are actively driving climate work in the city. And it's why New Lynn Coalition and North Shore Juneteenth co-sponsored this event. Our work towards justice intersects. Nobody gets to decide what energy justice looks like for Lynn except for the people of Lynn. So tonight, get your energy bill looked at, that's over here, ask questions, meet your neighbors, and know that the future being built, the port, the jobs, all of it only means something if the people who paid for the old economy are the ones who own the one that comes next. I'll turn it over to President of the North Shore Labor Council. Oh, sorry. I'll turn it to the President of the North Shore Labor Council, Kaz.
Hey everybody, I'm Adam Kaczynski, or Kaz. I'm the President of the North Shore Labor Council. We represent 50 different affiliated unions on the North Shore. We're part of the AFL-CIO, which is like a national federation of most of the unions in this country. We have a lot of members working on the North Shore. So our interest in wind is just what was said, is that we want good jobs in this community, good union jobs in this community. We want work to do, and we want local hiring and local preference for the people that work here to get the benefits of having these jobs here. So that's some of how we're involved in this, and excited to be here tonight. And tonight we have emceeing our Vice President, Beth Contos.
When they asked me if I'd MC, I said, of course. MC what? Give me a mic, I'm happy. So it's really nice to see all of you here tonight. The food smells wonderful. I'll eat some in between. But first of all, I want to say thank you to Jordan. Jordan, where did Jordan go? There he is. Jordan is the organizer from the North Shore Labor Council, and Bonnie as the Executive Director of SAFE that put a lot of work and planning into this. And then our sponsors, North Shore Juneteenth, New Lynn Coalition, Latino Support Network, and Neighbor to Neighbor. So in the room tonight, we have Lynn City Councilor at Large, Brian Lapierre. And we have Cardeliez. Cardeliez is over here. Cardeliez Ward 5 city council, and nobody else snuck in, right? That's it. Okay. So, our first mini session of the night is about the economic angle of your electric bill and energy justice in Lynn. So I'm calling up Sam Lambert. Where'd Sam go? There's Sam. Come on up. She's the Deputy Chapter Director of the Sierra Club of Massachusetts, and Yuri Sanchez-Rijo, who is the Lynn Chapter Organizer of Neighbor to Neighbor right here. So come on up. You can walk around. Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Beth, and thank you, everyone. It is so important that we have these conversations and in community with you. So thank you again to Save for North Shore Labor Council and all of the sponsors for tonight. As Beth said, my name is Sam Lambert. I am the Deputy Chapter Director of the Sierra Club of Massachusetts. We're a statewide environmental organization. I am also a Neighbor to Neighbor member, a Lynn resident and renter, and I am happy to talk to you tonight about your energy bill. Now, show of hands, whose energy bills are too high? Yeah, mine too. And there's a lot of speculation on why that is. And one of the recent changes on your bill actually has a line item that has efficiency programs on there. So everyone's like, wait a minute, I didn't want to pay for that. I didn't sign up for that. And thinks that that's the reason why their bills are too high. But that charge has been there. MassSave is the program in Massachusetts. It's been here since 2008. You may not have had the same impacts as other communities because for a long time, the folks that were benefiting from MassSave were often in wealthier communities that had a higher percentage of home ownership because they're the ones that could okay the work to be done on their property. Through a lot of advocacy and a lot of work, grassroots folks, frontline organizations, statewide organizations, working to advocate for more equitable processes in the MassSave program, 21 communities were designated equity communities, Lynn being one of them. And what that means is whether you're a homeowner or a renter, you can access the MassSave program. You self-verify your income. You don't have to submit paperwork. You don't have to submit your pay stub or your tax return. It's completely up to you. Free weatherization. Job training opportunities. So, whether you're in high school or whether you're looking for a job transition, you want to go into weatherization or HVAC, those opportunities are there for you. And community first partnerships like we have now in Lynn. And so if you have your bill with you tonight, please, I recommend stopping by the table and seeing Cameron. The other piece though that we don't talk about is, yes, we all pay into MassSave. Everybody pays a little bit. And it's felt a little unbalanced how it's been distributed. But the reality is, for every home that creates efficiency, it's like having 10 free bus lanes on the Lynn Way. Because when everybody comes home in the middle of the day, end of the day, they turn on their AC, they turn on the TV, they open the fridge, get a drink. It's like causing a traffic jam. Our grid can only handle so much. And once all of those power pieces come on, we now have to turn on these polluting, expensive peaker plants. So the more efficiency we have, the smoother those lanes go, and we don't have to turn to those anymore, and everybody saves. As a renter, I've accessed MassSave, and I'm happy to pass it over to my friend, but I do have something I want to ask you, because right now MassSave is in jeopardy. This past year in the State House, it was voted to cut the budget of MassSave by $1 billion and remove the self-verification. The Senate voted to keep it. They're now negotiating. So please, if you're able, call your state rep, call your state senator, say you are a resident, a constituent, and you want to see MassSave protected with all of the equity values that have been implemented for the 2025-2027 period. And I will pass it to you.
Hi everyone, my name is Judy Sanchez-Rijo. I am the lead chapter organizer for Neighbor. We're on the 3rd floor. But before that, I lived in this since I was 8 years old. There's a lot of things that, due to language barrier, my family was not able to access. But something that changed a lot of the dynamic of seeking more information was that I started working at an organization that provided resources, right? And for 15 years, I was the person in charge of funding for cafeterias. But I still didn't know exactly how the program worked because a lot of the programs were kept, for those who asked, right? Or there was a little kiosk in a corner where you can read about what MassSave was. And I stopped and read it once, but I'm like, how can I access it? I had no idea. So during COVID, 2020, we were all at home. We were, for the first time, confined to our homes, and that's when I realized I have gas, oil, and electric in my apartment. I am out of the house till 6:30, 7 p.m. When I got home, that's when I turned everything on. So I didn't feel the effects that it was really causing to have so many different type of energies being used in my home, and the deficiencies that my apartment had that I didn't know. One day I said, how can I afford this? We went from 2 incomes to 1 income because everybody was laid off. I wasn't laid off because I could work from home providing financial assistance to people. I couldn't provide that financial assistance to myself. I needed help and I didn't know what to do, so I called the numbers that I knew, and MassSave was one of them. MassSave delivered a box to my house with instructions. They did a self-assessment, we talked on the phone, they came and they explained everything to me right at the door, masked up and everything. I was able to change all my light bulbs. I was able to change my my shower head, my power strips, everything. But then they went a step beyond. They said, how's your thermostat? I didn't know it wasn't working. It wasn't working. I was running out of oil, I didn't know why. And then they assessed my kitchen, no insulation. We were freezing. And that's when my landlord okayed the work, right? But I didn't know that as a renter, I could use these services. I didn't know that I could talk to my landlord and my landlord could say, yes, do the work. And not from that, I was paying $600 every 3 weeks putting oil in my home with 1 income, still paying gas and electric. And once I found out what they were able to do for us and how they were able to assess and save us money that we didn't have, we were able to share with family. I called my sister, I called my mom, and the thing is, all the people that were eligible around me had no idea that this existed. We were not told by National Grid, we were not told by anyone, because I saw it outside of the Leo office. I told everybody about it, and I used it. That changed dramatically how having 4 or 5 people in a home 24/7 due to COVID could do to your finances, and it helped us tremendously. So I encourage everyone that doesn't know about it to inquire, to ask questions. People are here to support. When you are low income, every penny counts. But even if you have your own home, or even if you're able to have a steady income, any money that you can save through these programs are there for a reason. Please utilize them and please save them. We have to call to make sure that we keep the money that belongs to something that is so needed, especially in our city, and people don't know about it. So I encourage everyone to share the information. Thank you so much, and I hope that more and more people are able to familiarize themselves with how to save, aside from being in the dark and waiting for our program here. Thank you.
All right, before our speakers sit down, we want to know if we can take some questions from the audience.
If approved, is MassSave still providing an interest-free 7-year loan for equipment if you are going from total, if it's a whole home, taking gas out and going to a high efficiency heat pump system?
I don't know the specifics. I don't know the specifics. I know that there were delays on that at some point, but I can find out for you. Or maybe Cameron.
Cameron, where did Cameron go? She's in the back. See Cameron in the back with the maroon shirt? What do you know, Cameron? Do you think that that still exists? So we'll get your information. Okay, good. Anything else?
What was the bill number?
Oh, it's in conference committee, so there's 2 bill numbers.
No signal. Well, let me tell you, if you live in Lynn, your senator is Crichton, Brendan Crichton, and your representatives are Cahill, Reed, or Armini. So, depending on where you live in Lynn. So those are the people, and you can write to all of them. Email. Okay, Bill. House 5151, H5151.
And it's the House side that
Yeah.
is taking it away. The Senate's already on board. So
Okay.
H515.
So we got our House representatives, Cahill, Reed, and Armini. Need to hear from you guys.
And
Okay.
Wong.
And Wong. Oh, I forgot about Wong. Okay. And if you live in another town, write to them. Okay. What else? Questions? That's it. Okay. Thank you very much. Jory and Sam. All right, we're going to move into local political solutions and policy. Ibrahim, come on up here. Ibrahim is on the SAFE board and also City of Beverly Sustainability. And Cardeliez as we said, was the city councilor for Ward 5. And I'm going to just, do you want to hold it? Or do you want?
Yeah, there we go. Hi everybody, I'm Ibrahim Lopez Hernandez. I work on sustainability issues. I'm also a Lynn resident. And I wanted to talk to you kind of a little bit from the topic that we just talked about, your utility bill and your high electricity costs. What are some options locally that can happen to lower that outside of doing actual repairs or upgrades to where you're living or your living situation? So one of those is municipal aggregation. I don't know if you've heard it before, but it is a program about buying electricity where your city or town can buy electricity on behalf of you. This has been a program that has been for decades here. More than half of the municipalities in Massachusetts already have it instituted. And in Beverly, I instituted it. I worked in Chelsea and also instituted it. And one of the great things is that on average, most people save money when you're with the city. Your utility bill is still National Grid. If your power goes out, National Grid is still the one who's going to respond to all those down cables or the power outages. But your bill is divided into 2 sides, and on that second side called supply charges, that the city or any other company can supply electricity for you for cheaper and with more renewable energy. So why is this important? Well, it's a cost-saving measure that a lot of cities and towns have been able to do. Another one is an environmental justice issue. A lot of municipalities, a lot of towns like Lynn, Chelsea, Revere, and others have had the experience that in low-income communities, a lot of third-party suppliers or companies tend to have very questionable tactics in trying to get their residents enrolled in their programs, where they entice you with a lower price for 6 months or a year, and then all of a sudden your costs duplicated because you forgot to cancel it and it was in their terms. So that is one way to address an EJ issue that has been happening here in Lynn and others. Having your city or town be able to have a fixed price for the next 2 years, for example, and still being cheaper than National Grid. Just as an example, in Beverly, right now running the numbers, we've been saving people about $10 a month. And over 2 years, that stacks up, and it's not insignificant, especially for a city like Salem or Lynn or others. So yeah, I'm very happy to talk to anybody else about this afterwards, and I really hope that it can happen here in Lynn, and for that we have Councilor Cardeliez to talk a little bit about that, but yeah, thanks. One more thing I forgot about the renewable energy. On average, we save people money while having more wind energy or solar. So in relation to onshore wind, one of the things is that municipalities can buy renewable energy credits, and that entices local developers to have wind farms, solar farms here in the New England region. You can buy renewable energy from wind farms in Texas or something like that, but the point is to have renewable energy here, so your actual atoms and electrons happening through all these cables is actually green.
Thank you. And now for the City of Lynn, we are currently considering implementing a municipal aggregation plan here. Pretty much what that has looked like is, one, hiring an energy manager who's able to put some time and effort into that. Luckily, we have funding from National Grid, who is an energy provider. So technically on the supply side, they don't really care, which is really cool. And that has allowed us to fund a position for someone to look into what might be some of the better plans for the city. Right now we have Cameron over here who is working with me and a few other folks to hire a consultant who will go through the process and assist the City of Lynn in figuring out what the best suppliers are, what energy mix we want to use, and that will then be proposed to the council for approval, which is where you all step in. And that means if this is something that is interesting to you, you have to call, well, you don't really have to call me, I'm already kind of bought. And you don't have to call Councilor LaPierre either. But there are other councilors who will need to know about this and know that you are all interested. So please call your representatives and let them know the importance of it and that you are interested in it. There has been a lot of misinformation in other communities around what this is, how it functions. It is an opt-out system, which means that everyone automatically is put onto it. That does not mean that if it is not something that benefits you or that you're interested in, that you have to stay with it. You can easily just, poop, go back into whatever supplier you want, and it works just as well. So it really is an opportunity for those that are interested to reduce their energy cost, have a more stable energy bill, and also have more renewable energy sources in our energy grid. So please reach out if you have any questions. I'm super happy to work on that. Right now, the city has an RFI out right now, so we are looking for different consultants to work on this, and as I mentioned before, both Cameron, who's in the room short up here, and I are reviewing applications, and we're just gonna ask a few more questions to those who have expressed interest and hopefully get this process going a little bit faster. So really excited. I will also note that previously it was a very long process to get approved by the state to implement this. That has changed. So once we do find a plan, it will be a pretty quick installation. So one of the things that we're considering with our consultant is what does that community engagement process look like, so that people are informed, they're aware, and have a say in what this system looks like. So really excited to continue sharing information and working on this project for all of you.
Don't sit there.
Okay?
We're going to take questions, but before we do, Ray Rodriguez is here. Come on up, Ray. Ray is from, he's the Healthy Homes Navigator, right?
Yes.
And he wants to speak about Latino Support Network's climate work, right?
That's right.
Go ahead, and then we'll take questions.
Okay, perfect. Nice to be here. Hi, everyone. I'm Ray, the Healthy Homes Navigator at LSN, or Local Stewardship, formerly known as Latino Support Network.
Oh,
Yep,
good name.
that's right. Yeah, as of a month ago, so
What's the
we're
new
in
name? Say it.
the Local Stewardship Network. LSN is a Lynn-based nonprofit founded in 2014. We originally focused on adult education and programs that help Latino residents integrate into the community, things like skills building, support services, and community connection. Over time, we saw that stable housing and economic opportunities are at the center of everything. So about 4 years ago, we became a Community Development Corporation, CDC. That shift expanded our work into housing and economic development, including developing affordable housing and offering first-time home buyer classes. Today our focus includes building affordable, healthy homes and advanced climate, sorry, I got loud real quick. Advanced climate justice and resilience. Because housing quality and climate impacts show up in people's daily health. In partnership with Emerald Cities Collaborative, ECC, we supported the Emerald's Connections pilot to help fill gaps in community engagement and health metrics and weatherization programs such as MassSaves, using Lynn and Seattle, Washington as pilot communities. Currently, we're working on CHRP, the Community Heat Resilient Pilot with ECC, MAPC, Metropolitan Area Planning Council, and the city's public health partners. This work is about proactively planning for extreme heat through community-driven solutions, such as supporting our community gardens so that there are a place for social resilient and provide cooler outdoor spaces to gather by providing water infrastructure updates, water foundations, and shades. Looking ahead, we're also creating a climate resilient roadmap for gateway communities, and we're looking for residents and partners who want to volunteer, to be involved. We will also be working with organizations and residents to update housing standards at the state level and work with research fellows to guide that work, then hire a full-time staff member at the City of Lynn to lead this work through monitoring, evaluation, and implementation. If you want to learn more, please stop by our table. We're giving out cooling kits to the first 15 people who complete our quick heat resilience survey, and one at a time. Thank you very much.
So I'm a retired educator, and everything the three of these people said today, believe it or not, affects the outcome of education. Because we're talking about stable housing, right? Affordable housing. Kids do better when they have a place to live and they know it's there and their parents can pay the bills. And they're not worried about lights being turned off, things like that. So you said it affects every aspect of your life. And if we care about our kids doing well in school, we have to care about this. So we're gonna throw it out for some questions. Oh, Margie.
So this thing about having somebody else provide you power for National Grid, I'm one of those people that signed up and then ended up for years paying way more than I should have, which makes you really nervous about ever wanting to sign up with anything again. So how would you kind of address explaining to people like me that this is not the same thing as what I already did wrong?
Correct. So there are a lot of third-party suppliers that do this and are often enrolled into these programs, and that's why it's important, one, Cameron's role and the City of Lynn's NOG team to really educate people about what is happening. I've had a few different events that invited the Attorney General's office, and they have a bunch of different series around third-party different third parties who are taking advantage of people on a day-to-day basis, as well as other nonprofit organizations. So I think part of it is working with organizations that are already doing this work in terms of education and have already solidified what those best practices are, so that we can then reach a larger audience. However, as you had mentioned, it is one of those things of how do you do that at scale in a way that is effective, because there are a lot of people who have fallen into this, and not from a lack of goodwill or anything, it's just there are people who don't necessarily have the best interest of others in mind. And that's part of where we live. So really just educating people what are the benefits, so that they don't go into it thinking that this is just another scam, but also just something that will benefit you, and being able to articulate that. And in previous times, this is why municipal aggregation has failed to pass in other municipalities, is because there has been so much of this information of like, oh, it's just gonna be the same system that I applied to previously, so why am I even investing time and energy into it? So it really is just focusing on that educational piece, and also coming from reliable sources, and having people be aware of what these other companies are doing and how they're getting people to enroll into these programs that aren't in their best interest.
I can talk a little bit about the practical example, since I'm managing the one in Beverly and manage the one in Chelsea. How it looks like usually is once it's filed and the city council votes for it and it's approved, there are official communications coming, for example, the mayor's office. So in Beverly, we send a letter very clearly marked, this is official business from the city. And this is an opportunity, and it will let you know all the terms and conditions. It will very loudly tell you, you do not have to participate in this. And if you do, you can leave anytime you want, for whatever reason you want, without any additional cost. Unlike third-party suppliers, where sometimes they have hidden fees and all that. Usually, to have the community feel more comfortable with this process, there's a dedicated website for the program where a wealth of information is there. Live customer support phone, usually from the consultant that the city chooses. And then whenever there's a new contract happening, there's also a barrage of information, letters sent out to every renter and homeowner, letting them know that these are the new pricing structures, this is how it's gonna look like, this is how it's going to compare to National Grid, so this is how much you would save or how much it would cost. And so that type of information is always ongoing. In Beverly, we usually send out a community-wide letter from the mayor's office, maybe every quarter, every 3 months or so. So let people know.
Also, is it just paperwork, or is there actually something physical that has to happen to do that?
To enroll in a program?
Yeah, or to be in the program, does National
Yeah.
somebody have to come to your house and do anything?
No, so there's no on-site checkup like an electrician or somebody from National Grid coming. If you want to participate after receiving that original letter that'll say opt out, you don't have to do anything, and then you'll be automatically enrolled. And if anybody doesn't want to participate in a program like this, then that's when you can either call the phone number or do it online, where you can put your utility bill number, and then they'll take care of that in the back end and let you know that you've been unenrolled or will not be joined into it.
Thank you.
You check a box, I want to pay more. Oh, question, go
I
for it.
guess on that same note, is it similar to like the programs that they have in Marblehead and Peabody, where it's municipally, it's an umbrella under the municipality, that the municipality decides where it can purchase their power from, and they have their own crossover station that said, you know what, we're not going with you guys anymore, our contract is up, we're going with these guys.
So, great question. Marblehead, Peabody are municipal light plants, MLPs, which is not what Lynn, Salem, Beverly, and other municipalities are. Municipalities like us don't own our infrastructure, our electricity and poles, so we don't have as much flexibility as those other municipalities have in designing programs to save people money. So the rundown is usually you go out to bid as the city, you look at the pricing in the energy markets to see what's the most cheapest possible with ideally as much renewable energy as possible, come to a balance, sign it off with your chief executive or mayor, and then go through the process of informing everybody, this is the phone number, these are the pricing structures and all of that. And then at any time after that contract, which usually contracts last 18 months to 2 years, that's usually how much, then the cycle repeats itself again. One thing that I haven't experienced, but I know that other cities are, is that maybe a city got a higher than expected electricity rate. And at least from our end in Beverly, what we are conscious to do is that if at any point our pricing is more than National Grid, we will let people know. We will send a letter from the mayor saying, unfortunately for this next 6 months, this is going to be the pricing. If you want to save money, feel free to opt out and then enroll back in once we let you know that our pricing is better.
Does the price change based on the number of people that enroll?
No, so it's bulk purchasing in the sense that they already know how many households and electricity customers are. And so they have a whole formula where they just have a formula ready to give you the pricing, regardless of how many people enroll or ebb and flow or enrollment rates.
So for follow-up, everybody that lives in Lynn that wants this needs to let their city councils know, except for Mr. Lapierre, who's already on, Ms. Baez is already in, to make it happen, right? The mayor needs to know we want this, right? Is he supportive? Yes, good. And come over here and take a quick survey at the end so that you can get a cooling kit. I don't know what's in there, an air conditioner in there?
Oh, we have
Don't give it away. No, go ahead, what's in there?
well, I mean, if you come to the table, we have a
Keep some.
PDF that shows, tells you everything that we have in there. I'm not gonna name it all, maybe just a coolant kit you can crack open right now and put it in the back of your neck.
Oh, okay, all right. Any other questions? Oh, wait, one more, please. Loud.
Yeah, I'm Gabe, I'm an organizer with Neighbor. I have sort of a comment / question. Like, I know that like for us as Neighbor and for the Labor Council and unions, like so much of our work is about like ownership and self-determination for our people, and like the sense that I get from municipal ag is like from this, you know, is that is about us taking as a community, taking more ownership and self-determination for our own energy, and rather than, you know, having corporations really make those decisions for us. Is that like, is that hope that I feel that what I resonate with, right? Like, okay, cool. I'm really excited about it because of that, because I think that really is a powerful thing. Especially about like people taking control of their energy. Like Puerto Rico after the hurricanes, stuff like that. So I think there's so much to learn from other communities. So thank you guys.
And we could take it even a step further and figure out a community solar program, we could figure out a community geothermal program, we could do these things, we just have to get like-minded people in the room to do it, right? And we gotta get our offshore wind going. All right. No more? Oh, yeah, please.
One thing.
Sorry, just one, thank you, Ray. He joined LSN 2 months ago, so I kind of sprung him up here. I do also work at the Latino Support Network, Local Stewardship Network, I'm still getting used to it myself, as the Economic Development Officer. So one thing I did want to flag and make sure everyone is aware of, we are working on a climate resiliency roadmap, and that will require at least 7 community members and other nonprofit organizations and organizations throughout the city of Lynn to really think about what climate looks like in the city, be it through energy, transportation, or just our local green and blue spaces. So it is really important to have a diverse pool of people who are informing what that looks like. It will be in partnership with the City of Lynn Planning Department as well, and will be a guide for not only Lynn, but other gateway cities. Gateway cities end up being cities just outside of major cities. Lynn happens to be one of the largest and most diverse gateway cities in the entire state. So that really lends itself to really think about how we think about inclusion and other pieces of that. So please let us know if you are interested in being a part of that cohort. We will be giving out small stipends for those who participate. So just really wanted to make sure people were aware of that as it's rolling out. And then there will be more information about our Healthy Homes initiative. So that one is really interesting and important because as a lot of you are housing advocates, know that housing standards that we have in the city and in the state are bare minimum. So this is really an opportunity for us to think about what is that next level of responsibility and what does it mean to live in a safe and comfortable home for everyone, so that we can hold that standard up across the entire state, starting in Lynn. So that is really exciting and would invite all of you to be a part of that.
Great, thank you. Let's
Question
hear it.
about-
Oh, more.
I'm so
Dave,
sorry.
go for it.
Can I ask you a question about that? Does it have to be, like, if for the organizations to be a part of this, does it have to be a staff member, or could it be a volunteer community member, leader, who's part of that process?
All of the above?
All of the above. We haven't solidified that just yet. It'll be part of the MOU, and the organizations that are participating will also receive a small stipend. So.
Wonderful. All right, let's hear it for the panel. All right. One is the business manager of Kyle Drivers Local 56. And Carlos. Oh, sit down, John, sorry. Oh, look, I folded my paper. Offshore wind generally and the potential of Salem sport. Carlos Avila.
Carlos Avila. We're going to the presentation.
Tell us a joke.
I would like some jokes if I have a stand-up video. I'll give you a couple of scenes. All righty, perfect. John, we need one of your jokes, but I can't really do them. All right, good evening, everybody. So my name is Carlos Avila. I am the Community Engagement Director for the Environmental League of Massachusetts, as well as I serve on the New England Offshore Wind Coalition that we run. The purpose of today is to go over pretty much the Environmental League's capacity in supporting environmental policy in the state of Massachusetts, New England Offshore Wind's role in supporting this effort, my connection as a New Bedford, now New Bedford resident, but former North Shore, Beverly, Lynn, Salem resident as well when we first arrived here from Puerto Rico. And just to give you an honest assessment of where things are and what we can do to keep our communities engaged. So ELM, the purpose of ELM is obviously to secure the health and well-being of the earth for future generations, and we've been advocating for environmental policy for over 128 years. The approach that ELM uses is multi-phase. Initially, before my arrival, it was only three-pronged. They focused on advocacy, strategic partnership, and elections. I have recently included community engagement. So when people think of ELM, they think of their environmental lobbying firm, strictly in Beacon Hill, and up until October 27, 2025, the day I was hired, that was pretty much correct. Right? That they had a very limited presence outside of Boston. So I wanted to make sure that the work that we're doing here today gets back to the office in Boston so that we can educate your legislators in the State House as well. Through engagement, and I do my best to educate and convene people. So in the picture that you see there, this was an event that we did in partnership with the National Wildlife Federation. We took community members aboard a vessel and visited South Fork Wind and Revolution Wind off Rhode Island waters. But it was just it was a quick example. Sorry. Oh, sorry, didn't see that. Sorry about my apologies. It's an example of offshore wind in multiple phases. So you had a completed project, you had a project that was in construction, and it was a way to view wildlife in the area. So we were able to address a lot of the misinformation strictly by being out there. It's a different experience when you're in person than when you see online. Now we're going to discuss some of the key communities related to offshore wind in Massachusetts. I live in New Bedford because that's literally where I'm from currently, but we did marshal out the Vineyard Wind 1 project. Barnstable was another key community where the cable makes landfall, so you have your major substation in the Cape community. Vineyard Haven, I began working in Vineyard Haven in 2019, recruiting the first local cohort to become potential wind technicians for GE Vernova. I had 20 students in the program prior to COVID. Through COVID, 10 of them completed the program, 5 of them were hired as technicians. So again, that was a bit of a low success story given that It is extremely hard to recruit talent on vineyards when people can, they've had a housing crisis for years, but no one really talks about it. Because you think of vineyard, you think of rich, affluent people, but they have their own community issues as well. Salem coming in number 4, but number 1 in my heart. I was a young child that went to Bentley Elementary School, which was right across the street from Duke Energy at the time. So to see the transformation that SAFE spearheaded all those years ago, and to see the future that it has coming forward that you hear from John, it's a great opportunity for me to share my local connection from New Bedford to Salem that will benefit my friends and family that still live up there. The last community I'm listing is Somerset. That community is has a lot of projects in the pipeline. It may have the opportunity to support South Coast Wind when their cable make landfall, but they're currently developing a battery energy storage system called BESS. That project is called Salt Cost Storage. It's developed by Flatiron Energy, and it has the power to support 168 megawatts of storage on the former Brayton Point coal plant. So these are all, just like Salem, another community that took down their coal burning power plant and is looking for multiple uses for the future. Now let's talk about some of the issues that communities have with offshore wind. The challenge that you're going to face, obviously, is access to reliable information, especially up here. There's limited connection to the industry. The offshore wind industry is very complex, and its lack of familiarity with the political process. This point has been hammered home almost daily with the new administration that we have, because whenever you think you have the political process figured out, a new wrinkle, whether it's environmental, whether it's national defense, now they're buying off the former leases because they found out that those were bull, right? Those former claims were completely false. So now we're also dealing with well-marketed misinformation campaigns. And genuinely, it's the fear of the unknown. And this could be like the best thing on planet Earth, but if it's new and no one can explain to you correctly, it generates fear. So that's completely understandable. And what I do is to help you address those issues. So what can you do? So strictly by being here today, you're being the leader, right? So you are literally going to now be a community leader amongst your own peer groups. So we have a lot of amazing organizations here. But for those community members, just by putting yourself in rooms like this, it's going to help you stay informed. It's going to help you organize yourself and ready yourself for tomorrow's opportunities. You're going to have to fight misinformation. I deal with this quite a bit, whether it's whale deaths, whether it's prices, whether it's foreign and national defense bad actors. Social media is not always going to be the truth, but it is a necessary evil in this fight. So for those of us in the room that are community leaders that do have social media platforms and are in a position to educate, please do so. That's the way we're going to make headway in this effort. And then collaborate. I'm listed there with my friend, I'm pictured there with my friend Lionel. He runs the Wind Works for You campaign. We took that picture on the last day that the last blades went out for the Vineyard Wind 1 project. That's when the project was pretty much done in terms of construction from the port support area. They're still doing commissioning now. But you're going to make sure that you build your coalition to make sure that you're fighting a good fight. Now, what are we doing next is we're looking at doing it for offshore wind. So we're going to be your partners here, where we are a 6-state coalition. We have over 135 members that are active and in different stages of offshore wind readiness. So we have communities like those in Southern Mass, Rhode Island, and Connecticut that have had now years of experience in offshore wind. We can help inform your process here in Lynn, processes in Salem. So again, while the project might be marshaled in Salem, Lynn will benefit. Your community member is willing to be trained in this to support it, whether it is actively through the unions or as part of the support staff or even the support services. You have no idea how many people that were maintainers or they own cleaning companies, they own food service companies. They thought that they had to completely change their business model and go work offshore. No, you're gonna have an influx of workers in the area. Just expand your capacity. So you can still be a restaurant owner or an employee at a restaurant and drive the new business that is supporting offshore wind. You are also supporting the effort. You don't have to go up the tower if you do not want to. But again, our members are engaged in coalition activities. This is the team that we have leading the effort. It is our Senior Director of Offshore Wind, Katie Siegel, myself as a Community Engagement Director, and Barbara Bublowski, who are spearheading a lot of the work that we're doing from Maine through Connecticut. You're probably wondering, what's the state of offshore wind? The state of offshore wind is very difficult right now. So on July 20th, I spoke with the federal delegation, federal congressional delegation for the state of Rhode Island, against Trump's pretty much their illegal stop work orders that were done prior, and now with the questionable lease buybacks that are causing tremendous harm to our communities. You know, as someone from New Bedford that was deep into the conversation since 2019, to see it come and go in the way that it did, it's shameful, because there was so much momentum that was on its way up to the North Shore. Like, I wish you could understand just how positive things were going to be for so many of us in the state. So what I've done is I've shared you the links of the coverage, just so you can understand what's being done in Rhode Island. Multiple state attorney generals from across New England are filing lawsuits to make sure that those lease buybacks are indeed verified to be legal or not, and to get our projects back online. And lastly, I want to make sure we stay connected. So the picture here is it's a bittersweet picture, because yes, the project's completed, but it was supposed to be followed up by the next one. So what you're seeing there that's the last crane that was up at the Vineyard 1 Marshland Yard in New Bedford. This place used to look like Cape Canaveral. I wish I had older pictures where it looked like vertical rockets as far as you could see. It was an amazing, an impressive sight to see just what our local laborers were able to get trained on. This is completely new technology. This platform itself was never used before. So our not only were our laborers trained in the industry, they were leading the cutting edge. So, you know, that's the type of talent we have in New England, and I'm hopeful that we can see that coming forward again. So again, you can tap into the article from Politico, check in with me on LinkedIn, and then also for the ELM. Environmental League of Massachusetts has an action fund where there are action alerts that we lead. And if there's ever any issues that we want to need support in, we will reach out to our constituents and have you connect with us. We can touch base with your elected leaders, educate them on bills that are coming down the line. There we go. That's all I have. Thank you.
Are there any questions on one of the trips? I went out to Block Island. It was life-changing and scared the crap out of me.
Yes, I have the task of scheduling several wind farm tours coming up. So there's going to be potentially one in September, but definitely one for May. We have to take those months off in the winter because there's a reason why they're installed where they are. The winter North Atlantic is kind of rough, and it's not a time to be taking a pleasure craft out there. But that's when they're that's why you see the pictures from oppositional folks out now, because it's calm sea states. You do not see them out there in the middle of January taking pictures, because they will be getting rocked around. The winds will be blowing very strong, and they're out there taking the pictures in January. So that's what we can do a tour in January. So again, I will connect with the local leaders here on tour availability. We will leave from either New Bedford or Kingston, Rhode Island, depending on availability of vessels. But I still think for those that are able to come down, please take the opportunity, because you need to see this for yourself. There's a lot of great advocacy you can do, but it's very limited if you can see it in person. It does change your life.
Yeah, it's cool. Scary, cool. Yes.
On that note, are you actively looking for vessels and or captains to participate in this
Sounds like volunteer.
tour? Yeah.
Yeah, so I have the vessels, but I can certainly connect you with the company that is offering it, because they're always looking for people as well. It's the Helen H. Offshore. Have you worked with them before?
No.
John,
I do know 100-ton captains though.
Roger. Okay, I got you.
I got you. Happy to do it.
Okay, we'll get his contact. All right, great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Now, my friend John Dunderdale is business manager of Pile Drivers Local 56.
Got it right. No. So I talk real loud, so I hope everybody can hear me if you don't need the microphone or not. And I am from Boston, so I do talk fast, so I'll try to slow it down. But we just go right into the All right, so I'll start with a dad joke. What kind of birds do you see on construction sites? Birds on construction sites. What kind of birds do you think you see on construction? Seagulls. What else?
Cranes.
There it is. Cranes. The man got it right there. There it is.
Get the cooling kit. That's a dad.
Hey, Sean, how much is a polar bear weigh?
I'm not going there. All right, so as I said earlier, my name's John Dunderdale. I'm the business manager of Local 56, which are the pile drivers and divers. Does everybody know what a pile driver does? Does anybody know what a pile driver does? All right, so every building you see here, or where you drive around, that sits on some type of foundation so that building doesn't move, right? You guys just saw the earthquake that just happened in Colombia. A lot of that stability comes into the foundation of the building. So pile drivers are usually the first people on site, and that's where you see the foundations being built. Anybody been in an underground parking garage? All right, there's another thing where you have to go down below the ground and cut out to make that parking garage. That's for slurry wall. So that's a lot of the work pile drivers do, but we also are in the offshore wind business. And what I'm going to talk to you about is the workforce development that happens with offshore wind and what we do and how we did it and how we got there. So again, Carlos mentioned earlier, 2019, we started talking about offshore wind, and that's really when the workforce development started. So we had to figure out what this work was, how do we address this work, and how do we meet the mark with this work. So we had to take a look at everything and almost look at this like it's a brand new industry. So for one pile driver to go offshore, it's 225 hours of training just to meet the minimum requirements to be an offshore wind worker. So when you come to our organization, we take journeyman a level above. So to become a journeyman, if you come through the apprenticeship program, it's a 4-year apprenticeship program. The 5th year, become a journeyman. The reason we have to have it that way is because we have to have the most highly trained people offshore. Anybody knows what a Volkswagen Bug or the Mini Cooper? They roughly weigh about 1 ton, all right? A monopile, so which is the foundation for an offshore wind turbine, weighs 1,800 tons. All right, so when something goes wrong there, it's usually catastrophic. So the amount of training that goes into it to make sure that we do everything right, it takes a long time to get there. It takes a long time. So if you're looking at this list, OSHA, WINDA, those are requirements on the offshore wind work. Us as riggers, we're picking up these massive monopiles, and we're also picking up these substations. Now, a substation weighs 3,400 tons. All right, always go back to that 1 ton reference. 3,400 tons. That's a massive. It's a 5-story building that they pick off a barge and they put on piles. So that while the waves are going and everything else is happening and the wind's changing and it's raining and all that stuff. So rigging is a huge part of that. Scaffolding also. At the offshore substations, they have to do a lot of the tie-ins. So you're going to see scaffolding going the opposite way. So from the building, from the substation down, we have to do the scaffolding going up. So you're working close to 200 feet off the ground, hanging over the side, looking down, and that's where you're at, but you're tied in. But that's the work that we're doing. So it's not for everyone, all right? And some of this training is gonna put you in a position, well, this is not for me. So when we made this investment, we had to come up with a way of vetting. So we made a whole vetting process. Do you like work? Are you comfortable working at heights? Are you comfortable working away from long periods of time from home? Are you comfortable not having cell service for more than a month? Are you comfortable working 12-hour days? Because guess what? When we're offshore, we work 7 days a week, 12-hour days. Most of the rotations are anywhere from 4 weeks to 5 weeks long. So that's where you're 25 miles offshore, and you get 1 gigabyte. That's enough to make a phone call home and say hi to mom and dad, and that's it. But that's what you're getting into. All right, you're working 12-hour days for 30, 40 days at a time. Sea survival is another great thing as well. Helicopter underwater escape training. You'll see it up there right there. So basically this course is designed to show you if the helicopter crashes in the water, it gives you the capability of being able to get out of that helicopter safely. Who doesn't like swimming in the room? This is not for you, all right? Because getting through this class here, it's very difficult. You do have to be a little bit more than a basic swimmer, all right? So that's another thing that it weeds people out, but it also makes sure that we get the right people for the job, all right? So you look at all this, and then we get down to a TWIC card, which is a traveler worker identification card. So if you work on any type of any type of port, you're going to need this requirement. It's an ID to get on. It's a federal requirement. You ask me why a passport? Every vessel you get on is like going to another country. So you have to have a valid passport. So if you get on a boat that is based in Belgium, you're basically going to Belgium even though you're going on that boat. So you have to have a valid passport. The work is great. It's a lot slower than the regular work that we do here, so it's a different aspect of it. But the guys that have bought in on this, we've had multiple members buy their first homes. We've had multiple members buy cars. We've had multiple members live that dream that you were heard to say, hey, I have a living wage, and this is how I'm making my life. So that is what a union will provide for you as a living wage. It'll give you the training to make that. It'll give you all that training to make sure that you come home safe at the end of the day, because that's the bottom line right there. So the amount of training that goes in this is one, for safety, because that's our number one thing. If you don't go home at the end of the day, we didn't do our job. All right, period. If you don't go home. So safety, 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 safety. Remember, 1 ton, 1,800 ton. It's a huge, huge factor. Last year we lost 2 pile drivers to a crane accident in Everett. It happens that quick. When you're playing with stuff that's this big, you have to know what you're doing. You have to know the jobs. A lot of great work here. If you're looking to come to the Carpenters, come see me after. We also have Mass Hire here. They are a great route to get to us as well. We have open enrollment every first Monday of the month for the Carpenters. Now, I'm a pile driver, but I'm also a commercial diver by trade. You'd be like, oh, wow, in the Carpenters. But we also have a ton of different trades. My brother, is he millwright? He did leave. We also have millwrights. Now, what you ask what a millwright is? Industrial mechanics, all right? Now, these guys get down to, if you can't stick a piece of paper in there, it's off. That's, I mean, what, the 164,000? There you go. So if you're a geek and you like mechanics and things like that, it's a great thing. You have general carpentry, you have pile driver, you have floor covers, you have what you guys consider residential carpentry is what you see, wood frame, and then you have commercial in town. So a lot of different things for everybody. Come to the info session. If it's for you, it's a good spot to land. Vineyard Wind. So I just, I want to talk about Vineyard Wind because this was the first commercial project that we did, and I want you to look at the numbers here. 3,725 total jobs through the whole period. 1,500 union jobs, but I want you to focus on right there. 1.9 billion in the economy. So when I say the economy, that means Lynn, that means Salem, that means Swampscott, all of this area, because they're going to rely on you guys to help support these projects. That's a huge number. 623 million paid in wages. So when he killed offshore wind, for whatever reason he did, we're still trying to figure it out. Last week I had the opportunity to go to the Conservative Energy Network, which is very Republican, and I was very, I was amazed to see the bipartisanship that's coming out of this. These numbers don't lie. At the end of the day, there's the misinformation that they're going to put out there. We're killing the whales. If I hear that, Carlos, if we hear that one more time, it's ridiculous. Last year we had 3 whale births off of New York during construction. So our safety measures are working. So it's so unique that you have labor, academia, and environment working on something so big, and it's all working. So the safe values are there. So there's a lot of good stuff there. Like I said, 71% of the union labor workforce there was from Southern Massachusetts. So that's what Salem has to look forward if we get this bill passed and we get this support going. Oh, wrong way.
And tell us about the bill you're talking about.
We're going to get there right now. So here's another number I want you guys to focus on here. You guys remember Winter Storm Fern last year, right? The last big storm that knocked out Providence. During that storm, Vineyard Wind produced energy at $84.23. The other energy was at $870 per megawatt. Now, which one do you want to do? You want to pay 84, you want to pay 870. The numbers don't lie. So all the misinformation that you hear about offshore wind, it's cost too much, it costs this and that. 25 years, that $84 is going to be there. That doesn't change over the period of lifetime of the project. So that's stability. That's what we need here. I know data centers. I don't know if you guys have heard of data centers, AI, all that stuff. That is not slowing down. We are going to need more energy. I'd say in the next 10 to 15 years, almost double the capacity. It's just to meet the mark. It's crazy to think of how much energy we're going to really need. So we don't understand why it stopped. You saw the job creation. You saw the economy boost. You saw everything that goes there. We don't understand why it's. But there is a good side to this. The governor signed 2 MOUs, one with Denmark and one with Nova Scotia. That indicates to me that wind's coming back. Why? Because they want to set up the supply chain. So during Vineyard Wind, I believe 70% of the supply chain came through the United States. So that's 70% of those jobs gone now. And a lot of those jobs were out of red states. So politics do have consequences when we're talking this stuff. People look at renewable energy. I think you need beyond the renewable aspects of it and look on what we need for power. Is the big question. I know in Chelsea right now they're ready to put the largest data center in Massachusetts over there. It's going through this permitting right now. That facility there, I believe, is going to draw close to 200 megawatts off the grid right there. Vineyard Wind project was 804 megawatts overall. So that data center is going to draw 200 megawatts off of that per hour. So that's what's coming at us, and that's what we need to prepare for. In the conservative energy network last week, Biden used to say all the above on energy, and we did hear a lot of all the above on energy last week, which is very promising to think that this is coming back. Right now, we passed the bill. There is a supplement offshore wind account that was set up there to service because right now, Salem should have been built. New England Wind 1 would have been in there. South Coast Wind would have been down south, but we're not there, so we have to readjust, right? So how do we get there? We continue to show up. We continue to talk about the misinformation. You guys see $84, right? Isn't that what you want to pay for your energy? That's what I want to pay for my energy. But you need to get out front, and we need to talk to these. So Carlos was saying, this is what an active wind marshaling terminal looks like. That's what should be in Lynn right now. I mean, not Lynn, Salem. With Lynn supporting it. But this is what an active wind terminal looks like. Questions?
How long does it take to build one of those?
Good question. The question was, how long does it take to build one? So from permitting to the end, you're looking anywhere from 10 to 15 to 20 years. The permitting aspect is going to take anywhere about 10 years, somewhere around there from the beginning. To build it, it took us 4 years to build the Vineyard Wind. It took us 4 years to build the Vineyard Wind.
To build the entire infrastructure, right?
Right now, we're going through the commissioning, but all the construction is complete on Vineyard Wind right now, so now they're just tying everything. So they're 2/3 capacity right now on the grid as we speak. They should be at full capacity at the first of the year.
Okay, so to branch off of that question, how long does it take to build, I guess, one of those wings?
The blades?
Yeah.
So they went to like a third of the stage.
I was gonna say 6 days per blade.
No. You're talking about building the blade or putting the blades together?
No, like one unit.
Oh, all right. So it's a couple different phases. So the pile drivers come in, put the foundation in, and then you have the transition piece, which is what these guys are. This is right here. That sits on top of the pile. This right here is a monopile. That's one of our guys standing in the monopile. This is a gripper. So that's how big monopiles are. For a monopile, we can pick one up in the morning and then have that finished by the end of the afternoon, move into the next one. And then again, it's a 24-hour crew, so the nighttime setting up the pile for the next day. Now the cool thing about some of this stuff here, we have this thing called the big bubble curtain. Does anybody know, except the people that I know knows this answer? Anybody know what a big bubble curtain is? All right, so when the monopile goes into the ground, right? So imagine this being a monopile going down into the ground. They lay a hose that has perforated holes in it that pushes out air, right? So that air comes up around the monopile, kind of encloses the monopile completely. Now, what that air does is mitigate the noise of the impact on the hammer, so it doesn't hurt the fish in the area that it's working in. So it totally takes the noise, but it's not gonna finish it all, but it does what it's supposed to do. Vineyard Wind chose to do 2 big bubble curtains instead of 1, which wasn't a requirement. But having the second layer there, again, like you say, we saw 3 bursts last year down in New York, which is incredible. And we have a lot of safeguards out there. If there's a mammal within eyesight, all operations shut down. So the protections are there, and they're being implemented the correct way. So they're really following all that. Does that answer the question? Yes.
How far ahead are other countries on offshore wind? And do we have any threats of like those countries coming with their workers? Like, how are we addressing that?
So the question is, say the question again.
How far ahead are other countries on offshore wind?
China has 78,000 wind turbines off their coast right now, and I tell you what, China is not doing it for renewable aspects about it. We are so far behind the curve on this. It's kind of mind-numbing to think that we can't get to that point. I do believe we have a clear path coming back. I do see the state moving forward, so the states are doing a lot of good work here. They are also trying to take politics out of the IRAs and a lot of the benefits that are out there, so it's stable throughout whatever presidency is in there, so the aspects of that is done. So I think that was a huge part of what happened here. The IRA was a $500 billion investment. They made $500 billion back, and they made $238 billion on top of that. So that IRA was a $500 billion investment. We made $720 billion off of that one investment. That's progress.
And John, we've been able to, because I know like I was hearing rumors like, oh, Europe's so far ahead of us that they're going to send their workers here. You guys have been able to address that because you invested.
Correct.
In training people, right?
So it was kind of fun at the beginning, and I always, people look at unions and they have different perspectives, right? So when the Europeans came over here, I always thought that I was going to be Tony Soprano, and I was going to bang the baseball bat down and say, hey, we want this many jobs. And they were very afraid of working with us. Now we've developed the relationships, we've done the work, they've seen our workforce, they've seen the mark. I will tell you, we have exported pile drivers from here to Europe to do their work over in here because our guys did such a great job here. So I'm not worried about the workforce coming here and taking our jobs.
And that was the concern in the beginning.
Correct.
That we wouldn't be ready, and then all our jobs are gonna go to other people that will spend their money back home. We want the money spent here. Ben? Loud.
I guess a bit of one more question then. So for those of us living in Salem, what needs to be done now to keep that going? And then, if anything, and then the other part is, you mentioned something about legislation. So what's up for legislation? Who do I need to yell at?
Great question. Great question. So we did talk about the supplementary offshore wind. There was $70 million that was supposed to support the project. So the lieutenant governor said, hey, why can't we repurpose this money? So when Trump took over the presidency, he took a $34 million grant away from there, and that's what killed Salem at the beginning. So the lieutenant governor said, hey, well, we have this $70 million that's not doing anything. And we pushed it through the House, it made it through the House, and now it's sitting in the Senate, and hopefully they are coming back in September, and we can pass that and have steel in the ground in October.
And is that the supplemental budget?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
is
when
there
they
a
call
part of
or
the
write.
supplemental budget I gotta call Joan Lovely about?
Yes. Yep.
Section 92 of 537.
Right. That puts 150 people to work instantly, right there, passing that bill right there. And yeah, and then it creates the marshalling area after that. And then it was 35 million this year, and then it'd be 35 million next year. Before, they were only gonna do it in phases, phase 1, phase 2. If both 70 million comes, they'll be able to do the project from the entirety all the way through. It's a deep water port, and I'll tell you the
I own a
time.
mooring right next to it, I'm really familiar with it.
But the other tie into the deep water port too is here in the Northeast, we don't have enough infrastructure to support offshore wind. So this deep water port is gonna play a huge part in offshore wind, not in our area. It's gonna service, Nova Scotia has 4 offshore wind projects that are already in the pipeline right now. So we're gonna be supporting Nova Scotia in Salem. And then once the other projects get back online, then you'll start seeing the companies coming through there and rustling through that as well. But it's a deep water port, we don't have that. I mean, I think you guys have seen the installer come in a couple of times, which is pretty awesome.
The coal barges come through.
Yeah.
I'd be sitting there going, he's gonna get something.
So the ship that you guys saw up there, that's the ship that has my brothers over there, the millwrights. They do what's called the transition piece, the nacelles, and the blades. So it's a combination of iron worker, millwrights, and electricians do those 3 components right there.
And just to tie into that, the question you were saying, I was gonna make this 3 days on land from when those components land, when we can pre-assemble and get them up and onto the barge and sent out to you guys to do your job. So 5 days total?
That's the turnaround.
I'm just feeding John questions that I want people to hear.
Okay.
I think what's really neat is that Mass CEC is sort of owning this. Could you talk about, for me, I'm just thinking about like Gabe's comments about like community ownership or public ownership is really what that would be, because it's a quasi-government agency, right?
Right.
So it's like we have that 70 million that will be funneled through the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center. I'm looking at you so you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
And so that means like we all own it,
Correct.
which is unique for
Very much,
the US.
which is really cool.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
it's totally cool. We don't do offshore wind without Mass CEC. We don't get this done. The training that costs for one member to go through all of this, the 225 hours, that costs 30 grand per member. So it costs a lot of money. So we do have to have income coming from somewhere, and they've been a great partner through this whole thing. And it's been amazing to see the development of this workforce happen from nothing to the point now we're sending guys. I have 4 guys that are in Germany right now, driving monopiles over there with a group called Deming. So if you want to be a world traveler, offshore wind might be able to get you there.
You know, a couple of years ago, John, a bunch of us attended a job fair at Salem High School. And it was, the kids were listening, they were poking the guys that sat next to them, and they weren't listening all the time. And then a young man stood up, and he was working in offshore wind, and he said, listen, I bought a 2-family house last year, whatever. I have a shiny car, and I'm gonna buy another 2-family house. So when it was over, and we said, come on down and talk to whoever you want, nobody talked to me. Nobody. They all went to that young man. Okay? Yeah. It was pretty awesome.
I'll tell you, I mean, the union trades are where it's at. I mean, if you want to get a life, a living wage job that's going to actually give you and your family that American dream that we all talk about, buying a house, having kids, going on vacation. I don't know how $35 an hour in Massachusetts is a living wage, but that's where a lot of these guys are being paid on the non-union side. It just doesn't make sense to me. But you have to put the work into it. It doesn't come, it's not handed to you. I mean, this is a lot of training here. This is a lot of commitment here. This is working with your family. You're going to be gone for a month and then home for a month, gone for a month, home for a month. So it's a lot of stress on your family. It's a young man's game. There is a lot of climbing up and down these towers. You have to be in shape. It's a lot, so it can be a lot on the family if you don't have everything at home squared away as well.
I do have to say, we have a rock star from New Bedford named Sonia Brito.
Sonia!
One of his sisters in the program, so it's not just a young man's and young woman's game as well.
Yeah.
I got you, Joe.
You got me. I apologize. It's a, yeah. But again, if you're looking for something different, and regardless of age, where you're at, you know, take a look at the building. Take a look at the building trades, because it's be the best decision that you make. If you don't want to go to college, if you don't want to have that huge loan, you know, the building trades, you come out of that with zero cost to you. You know, you get a 4-year apprenticeship. You know, all that training that goes involved in it. You heard me, $30,000. That's free to you. And if you talk to any of the other brothers and sisters in this room that are also in other labor unions as well, it's the best decision you can make.
Go ahead, Jim.
How many of these offshore wind projects and renewable wind projects, especially the big ones, work under the project labor agreement?
All of these did. Every single one of these project labor agreements, and that's where the union aspect came into it.
Can you tell why project labor agreements are so important? Something the city of Lynn could use pretty badly.
You want to talk about
Yeah,
PLAs?
like Justin and I talked about it.
Yeah.
They're really important on these big projects. I think they're important on a lot of the projects, but particularly the ones you're talking about, and whatever happens in Salem.
No, I mean, project labor agreements, which we do have one for Salem, but I think they're gonna have to redo that, since it's changed, or not?
No, it has a successor agreement, and Crowley's gonna take it over.
Well, there you go, perfect. The protections, you know, the company wants protection, you want protection as a worker, project labor agreements bring that. It also mandates timelines. It also mandates safety and pay scales. All of that stuff is included in that as well. No strike clauses, so the project can never be stopped. But the beneficial part of it, you know the workforce you're getting, you know the skilled labor that you're bringing to the project, because they fall under the project labor agreement and they have to meet these requirements to get it there. So there's no gray areas when it comes to that. So the project labor agreement is black and white, and it is put down there, and they are good. And they do, like you guys saw, $621 paid in union wages. So that's the protection of the worker that also protects the company that are working for it, and it protects the worker as well.
That's how you buy a house.
And it's how you buy a house. You still got to do the work.
So also with the Salem Port, there's specific community benefit agreements and then goals within that PLA, including the local hiring, especially in the economic justice zones, which includes Lynn, Salem, and surrounding areas for economic and racial justice zones, to allow for people that were from marginalized communities or underserved communities can have opportunities to have good paying jobs under these programs.
So it's like, just last thing, so Vineyard Wind had a 50% mandate of South Massachusetts residents. They met that. They had a female worker at 20%. We met that. We had a worker, people of color, 30%. We met that. So it brought all of these different layers into that project, and you saw the outcome of the overall economy and the wages paid.
Yeah, great. All right, John, thank you very much. That was excellent. I still don't want to work on the motion. I'm going to take a vote there, right? All right, Kaz, come on up and wrap us up together.
That was great. Thanks, John. All right, so I get the task of the closing remarks, and I'm going to play a feature-length film afterwards. So hang tight. So to close this out, I was trying to think of the big picture of what we're looking at here, because Salem's just a microcosm, right? The fight over offshore wind isn't just a fight about how we make electricity. It's also supposed to serve working people or the billionaires. The Trump administration says we can't afford offshore wind, but somehow they found billions of dollars of taxpayer money to pay companies not to build it. A French energy company was paid $1 billion to walk away from offshore wind projects and redirect investment towards oil. German energy company RWE is getting another $1.22 billion to abandon offshore wind development. We're approaching $4 billion in taxpayer money being spent to kill offshore wind projects. At the same time, another $1.125 billion is being used to prop up the coal industry. And who's benefited? Major oil and gas companies have made more than $90 billion in profits in just 3 months since the beginning of the war with Iran. Working people are paying the electric bills, working people are paying the taxes, working people fight the wars, and working people are the casualties. And working people are being asked to subsidize an energy system producing enormous profits for some of the richest corporations on earth. Trump City issued those stop work orders on all 5 offshore wind projects because of a national security threat. Said the turbines would interfere with radar, which is BS. Think about the things that actually impact and threaten our security. For generations, our dependence on fossil fuels has shaped American foreign policy and military policy. From the CIA-backed overthrow of Iran's government after it nationalized its oil industry in 1953, to American warships escorting oil tankers through the Persian Gulf in the 80s, to the hundreds of thousands of American troops being sent to the Gulf after Iraq seized Kuwait. We've repeatedly treated access to oil as a national security interest worth putting millions of lives on the line for. Climate change also threatens our communities, our infrastructure, our food supply, and will displace millions of people around the world. I gotta say, the plant that I work in, it's the largest private employer in Lynn, General Electric plant, sits right at the sea level. And that's actually a really big deal. That's why we get a lot of the contracts we get. It's very hard to get what we do certified and okay doing at sea level. And sometimes, right where those engines are assembled, at a high tide with a full moon and rain, we're getting water in the building. You know, and so I think about, like, I looked up how much tax revenue, it's not nearly enough, but like our school system very much relies on that plant being there. And to think about global climate change, basically erasing one of the biggest employers in this place, union employers in Lynn, it's a serious and imminent threat to the people that work in that plant, climate change. And we're trying to work on getting people to understand that. But it's an existential threat, particularly in Lynn. And I hope through this process I get to meet some of these people that are dealing with the Army Corps of Engineers, if you know any of them, because I think we need a plan to make sure that thing doesn't sink into the water in the next 10 years. So holler if you hear me. So every one of those jobs could be good union jobs. We love the building trades, we're inspired by the building trades. But the fact of the matter is that a lot of this stuff that the manufacture of is happening overseas. And it's great that we bring it here and we build it. But you know, I would just like to interject that we should have a vision about how we get this stuff made in our communities. You know, a lot of the offshore and onshore wind stuff is being made in Vietnam, in France. We can build that stuff here, 100%. We have the skills, we have the technology, we have everything it takes to build here. They just got a big jump on the market. So as we think about getting this work into our communities, I think we really need to think about manufacturing. And can't our people make this stuff too? And make that part of the vision, you know? Also, I think I tried to organize those 5 techs, Carlos, that you taught. Yeah, I think so. We went after them. We lost by like 5 votes too. So I'm like, now I know you. If we go after them again. Yeah, so in closing, America's energy future shouldn't belong to oil executives or foreign corporations. It should belong to the workers who built it. Thanks everybody for coming.